Hi, I'm Dale Zabriskie, Dr. Z from the Semantic Executive Briefing Center in Mountain View. We're here today to talk about the strategy for sales behind Semantic 4.0 and the conversations that you can have with your customers right now to help reframe Semantic and where we're headed. You know, it's an exciting time to be here. Great opportunities and some really cool things that we'll talk about shortly. We have to revolutionize how we do our business for our customers in a few ways. We're going to meet the customer needs that really matter today, provide unique advantages to those customers that no one else can, strengthen the offerings that are already world-class, and we're going to do this by focusing on 3 new areas, which we'll talk about in a moment. We have a 30-year legacy of tremendous strengths at Semantic. We have tremendous assets. Our people, our resources. We have expertise across the board and capability that no one else has, and a tremendous portfolio of absolutely fantastic products, leading products in the marketplace. And we're going to take that strong brand and that reach, use that install base to really shake things up at Semantic. When Steve Bennett joined the company, and he traveled across the world and met with many customers and employees and individuals, a few things really resonated with him. First of all, the uncertainty that exists from the economic aspect of the world is a huge factor for our customers. We're all feeling that today, and certainly businesses are struggling with that. But also the security that comes of really trying to make sure that things are secure within the enterprise has been a huge factor, and it's interestingly tied to that economic uncertainty. Secondly, digital and social media has become fully immersed in the enterprise. It's emerged as a new platform, as a new place for great things to happen, for customers to make a lot of money, and certainly for the bad guys to exploit. The growth of data, we've been talking about this for a long time, but it is exponentially increasing. And the aspect of managing that has become way difficult for our customers, and they want to get intelligence out of that information. They want to be able to understand what they have. You know, as one customer recently told me, he said, 85% of my data is irrelevant, and then he added, I just don't know which 85%. That's a real everyday problem of getting intelligence out of this mushrooming growth of information. And lastly, and probably more importantly, enterprise IT has to change. They have to shift and adapt and evolve to these changes, or they're going to have major issues going forward. So when you look at security specifically, there were some interesting things that jumped out. The boundaries between the consumer and the business are not only blurring, but they're being redefined. We've talked about this in the past, of a consumerization of IT or the ITization of the consumer. These boundaries are starting to really shift and change. And everyone is a consumer. Everyone is in this same boat, whether they work in IT or in finance or wherever they're at. And so IT is an enabler of the business and such. This consumerization is having a massive impact. The sophistication of the attacks is increasing at an ever-changing pace. We talk about Stuxnet, which took place about 2.5 years ago, and how credible that was, how phenomenal it was from a complex threat. And now we see more and more very complex things that are happening, not only in the threats themselves, but how they're being propagated. The sophistication of linking chains and linking pieces of information to propagate a threat is unsurpassed. And lots of intelligence, lots of sophistication going into these new threats. There's a realm transfer of technology going on in the space, in the enterprise, where the mobile aspect is now creating new and exciting places of technology, and new platforms are being generated left and right. It's a tremendous exponential change, and with that, the dispersion of authority around security is having a dramatic impact. Think about this. Quite often, now you read about this, that chief marketing officers are getting a larger budget for their spend on IT than the CIO. So this change and shift is something that we've got to respond to that's a real-life situation for our customers. And when you look at it from a public sector standpoint, certainly there are some unique challenges happening there. The critical infrastructure that cities, counties, and nations are required to maintain and keep up and running, these are being attacked on a daily basis. And we've got to be able to help our customers protect these critical pieces of infrastructure. The attack on both citizens and institutions, we've talked about how they're increasing in complexity, but we're seeing more and more how individual attacks within cities and counties are being utilized to access those critical assets that may exist within that agency or within that government. So there's a very sophisticated, targeted approach to getting to that city or county or state through an individual. And lastly, we have a new place of warfare, if you will. We've gone from land, sea, air, and space as a place to battle and create war to where now cyber is the new domain for warfare. And more of this is happening around the world. Let's talk a little bit about the changing landscape and some of the other market trends that are out there. This Internet of Things. You know, a few years ago, when the Internet started, all the data that was created on the Internet came from fingers. It was just people typing, clicking mice, that's all it was. And now we have more and more things that are connected to the Internet, devices in your kitchen and wherever they might be, your cable box. And now we're just creating all this data and this incredible network of things that are out there. I really want you to think about mobility in a different way. A few years ago, there was a defining line, right? It was mobility and a PC. I had my phone, I had my PC. It's blurred. It's all about mobile workforce productivity. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But think about that. Everybody's mobile. We're all mobile. And we need to think about it in those terms and get away from these different lines of demarcation. When we talk about our digital and social life, certainly that's a huge area where everybody's involved, everyone can relate to. And as we see more and more computing ecosystems out there with new devices, new platforms, it's only going to get more and more pervasive around the world. So we need a new model for protection, right? We started with the PCs, we protected the box, we went to the data center and the network that existed, and we talked about how we help manage and secure those systems, and then the cloud came into being, and that evolves, and currently certainly is evolving today. And that's enveloping everything our customers are doing. So we've got to look at it from a new model of protection. And how are we going to do this? What's our advantage? You know, we talk about best of breed all the time, but have you thought of it in the terms of best of need of your customer? What your customer truly needs. This is what we're going to provide your customer. We're going to do it through tremendous scale. We're going to truly integrate our technologies to give those offerings meaning across all the platforms that your customer may have. That is Symantec 4.0. That's what this revolution is all about. And let's talk about it in 4 areas. First of all, from an R&D spend. You know, we do spend a lot of money in R&D, but you're going to see a greater influx of cash going into more innovation, leveraging our centers of excellence, great people and ideas that we have here, and build truly state-of-the-art technology to help better meet our customer needs. We're going to have a better customer experience. Certainly this is an issue around the world, and Steve Bennett and his team have truly focused on making this the right experience. We're going to focus on the end-to-end experience, making it better and easier for your customer to do business with Symantec. We're going to simplify the licensing. I'm sure that's a very positive thing for you. We're going to use the technology that we have and expand it to create a self-healing approach to help solve problems on the systems themselves. Simplify the support options, expand the support, utilizing the web, the chat, the crowdsourcing, the community, and knowledge management to truly give a world-class support experience to your customers. Think about right for me. Think about best of need. And think about what that means from a right for me. Tailoring the offerings. You've got to think about breaking down these lines between consumer, small business, enterprise, public sector, whatever the vertical might be. We're going to tailor the offerings, give you the capability to take those offerings to your customer, regardless of what enterprise they might be in and make it fit them with a choice of deployment options. They want to do it in-house, they want it in the cloud, they want the appliance. See a greater emphasis on the appliances, or certainly in this hybrid mode that is becoming more and more prevalent in our customer base. And lastly, new offerings that are integrated and modular, that are solving bigger issues for our customers. And you're going to see that by allowing your customers to either buy current offerings, existing products, they're not necessarily going away today, or the new integrated offering, and they can turn on new capability as they need to. Much more modular approach, and we'll talk about that, how we're going to do that. So here are these three focused areas that I spoke of a little while ago. User productivity and protection, information security, and information management around availability and scalability, right? So from user productivity and protection, we're going to make it simple for your customers to be productive and protected wherever they are. From a security perspective, the business is safe and it's compliant. And from an information management approach, the business is up and running, applications, information available as needed. Now take a look at this slide. This is an example of some offerings that we currently have which could be categorized into these three focus areas. Let me make this perfectly clear. This is not a comprehensive list. If you see something that's not on there, if you don't see something on there, don't get excited. It doesn't mean it's gone away. This list is only used to paint the point and to make an example. So the current offerings might be categorized this way, but how do we now take the 150 plus offerings and make it relevant to our customers from this integrated modular approach? So this is the approach that we're headed to. Over the next 6 to 24 months, you're going to see this type of shift and change to these integrated modular offerings. And I want to touch on each one of them briefly, and then I'll give you some examples on a few of them. So a mobile workforce productivity, as I said before, this is semantic endpoint protection, and this is antivirus on a phone. It's a mobile protection and mobile productivity. Norton protection, Norton Cloud, you'll see this focus. Norton Zone, for example, brought into Norton Cloud. We're going to make those modular integrated offerings for user productivity and protection. Information security service. This is where we're going to take the great knowledge that we have around our MSS, our managed security service offerings, and our global intelligence network, and build it out to a true world-class offering around service in the security space to help our customers solve their issues. We're going to focus heavier on our appliances with a identity and content-aware security gateway. And we're going to focus on the security issues that the data center might need. From a business continuity perspective, this is something we've talked about a lot, but you're going to see a much more integrated modular offering around disaster recovery and high availability for your customers to make that truly a world-class option for them to keep their business up and running. From an integrated backup perspective, what do they need? That's a great example of best of need. How do you want to use the backup? We're going to use the capabilities that we have that they need, right? And then using the cloud, to our example, to help manage their information. How do they want to archive? How do they want to deal with this growing situation? And lastly, the object storage platform. You know, we talk at times about big data and what that really means. More and more data out there. We talked earlier about getting intelligence around the information. We're developing the technology to allow for a true object storage platform for large file systems. So this is where we're headed. Let me say it once again. This doesn't show that things are going away or shifting at this point. This is a time thing between the next 6 and 24 months where you'll see the integrated modular offerings starting to come. Some will happen a little sooner than others, but be aware you'll hear a lot more about this in the future. So let me drill down a little bit on just 3 of them. So from a more mobile workforce productivity, right? It might be bring your own device. It might be corporate owned. It might be the applications that the enterprise wants to use. It's the services that they want to take from the cloud, and we're going to help integrate in these areas to help your customer be more productive and more secure in their workforce. So everybody's mobile, right? And this is how we're going to help do this. This helps solve a very important problem and builds a unique competitive advantage. I think you'd agree that every conversation you're having with your customers, virtually every conversation, has a mobile discussion component to it because it is one of the biggest issues they're dealing with today. Secondly, around this service, it's this visibility, it's this dashboard, it's this using the tremendous capability and knowledge that we have to show your customer at a glance exactly what their posture is, using semantic technology, third-party technology, and certainly coupled with the global intelligence network and cloud information to provide this visibility and integrating these things to analyze, to correlate, finding that needle in the haystack, giving them that view so that they can solve that important problem and build a competitive advantage across the board. And lastly, an example of business continuity, we talk about heterogeneity, right? And we've got all these platforms and we have these applications and we have these different storage environments in-house. We're going to provide true high availability, performance, and scalability for the applications, whether it's virtual, physical, or cloud, by integrating these technologies into a modular suite that helps your customer solve an important issue and build that competitive advantage. Just 3 examples, and you'll hear a lot more about how this technology and these technologies are being developed. So, 4 things. How are we benefiting the customer? We're solving bigger issues, right? We're providing this right for me offering, the best of need. We're making things better and easier from both a product and a support solution. And we're giving them the options of how and what they want to buy. Focus on these things. Have these conversations with your customers. And this is it. We enable people, businesses, and countries to protect and manage their digital information so they can focus their time and energy on achieving their aspirations. As I said before, it's an exciting time to be at Symantec. 4.0 is truly a revolution, and your opportunity to reframe the value of Symantec with your customer. So take this resource and the many more that are coming very quickly and understand the value of this new 4.0 revolution. Thanks for your time today, and good selling.